So we ended up putting all the Corvette wheels in the back of my truck last night, and then I just brought them over to Aaron's house this morning, so I'm going to drop them off in his garage for him. And I don't think we've done a video since we did it, but we got the white Comanche, and it's back. Let's go over there and look at it. So it's a two-wheel drive, 4.0. We have a Dana 30 high pinion sitting over behind that barn that's going to go in the front of this. It was going to go in the gray one, but this one's going to get swapped first now. And came with a new exhaust for it. And that's an AX15 and the transfer case. We do need a shifter. The shifter assembly is missing on this one. But we have another AX15 and transfer case that I gave him that came out of the same Jeep that those Dana 30 high pinion came out of. So that'll go in here. And then the shaft right here that the throwout bearing rides on is broken. So I'll probably steal that off the other AX15 too until I get around to going and finding some more at the junkyard. But it's back. The outside of the body is not too bad a shape. We're going to need some patch panels under these fender flares. The rockers are going to need to get done. The cab corners are solid though. And like we showed you guys in the last video, came with a new clutch and everything too. The back of the floors aren't too bad, but we're going to have to do patch panels all through the front here. It's not too crazy. Pretty much every XJ or MJ we get is like that. So we'll do some cutting. We'll get new floorboards welded in it. Get the transfer case swapped in. Right there is the panel you pull for the four-wheel drive shifter to come through. And then this 5-speed that's in it for the two-wheel drive setup, it only has like 2 gears right now, so I might pull it apart and go through it and fix it and sell it, or it'll just get thrown in our scrap pile. But that project made it back. The other AX15 is actually going to be for that white Jeep. We've decided we are going to do the manual swap on it, so this one's going to get manual swapped first because it's a direct bolt-in, and then it'll be four-wheel drive. The only thing we're going to have to get is a rear drive shaft. Everything else is just parts off a Cherokee. That one, we're going to have to do quite a bit of fabricating to get the trans swap done in it, and then get drive shafts made for it. That one's a 3-inch lift right now. We think we're going to go taller. This one is going to get probably the 6-inch lift that we had for the gray one sitting. Took a trip out to Ray's today. Had a bunch of scrap to bring in. I mean, I say a bunch. It was only like 50 bucks, but we had a dryer that went out of our house last week that needed to go. Had a cracked head from a 671 Detroit. And then just a bunch of brake rotors and suspension components, a couple AC compressors, some alternators, just stuff like that that's just been piling up at the shop. So it'll pay for lunch and gas, so worth the trip. Out here getting gas. They've got 110 octane race fuel on the pump out here in Mooresville. I love living around Indianapolis. If you guys don't have one of these foam cannons, they are really nice. I'm probably putting more money down in soap than this truck's paint job's worth, but I figure we should wash it every now and then. I mean, it looks better. I need to re-bedline the grill. It didn't stick very well, but I also didn't do a very good prep job. Now I just need to get the flatbed on there, so I actually want to, make it look nice at some point. Once I do that, maybe we'll have the motivation to put a windshield in it and fix the dent in the door, fix the rocker. Maybe some 20 by 12s? Yeah, I think that sounds good. In the middle of nowhere heading to a customer, and I just see that thing rotting in a field. I want to take it home. So we're going to have to do this with shop lights because, as usual, we screwed around and it got dark on us. But the front wheels we saw the other day. But now we've got the rear wheels on. So it took a 1-inch spacer to be able to fit C6 wheels on an early 4th gen Camaro. So they're on there. They're not rubbing the body at all. We've got fender clearance. The problem with these wheels is they were actually hitting the body under acceleration. So it was flaying the tire. But the car looks a lot better now. So I think next up for this thing is going to be an exhaust system and an intake, because it's a little too quiet. And then I've got to obviously fix that shift flare. So the valve body's going to come out of this 4L60 and I'm going to work my magic on it. So for anyone that saw the live stream, we finally got the wheel off the back of the Mustang. It had a broken locking lug key on it. The outside of it was too close to the outside of the rim to get an extractor over it. So we drilled the center, then came back through with carbide burr. So the hole wasn't quite centered, we were a little off. This is a wheel spacer, so I'm not worried about this stud at all. But we drilled it, we took a carbide burr, went around the outside edge with the burr on a die grinder, so we had it small enough that we could kind of get the lug nut loose on it, and then hit the wheel and it came off. But we probably spent a good 2.5 hours getting this wheel off, and we still have the other side to do. So that was a brake pad that came off the shop truck. Like I said, it was definitely time to do brakes on it. And we're going to adjust wheel bearings before we're done here. But I always like to take a wire wheel and clean up the crevices down the side of the caliper on these Dodges. This is not going very well one-handed. Alright, I'm going to do that when I sit the camera down. But pads are different, inner and outer. So the inners not wanting to go in. So yeah, let me set the camera down, I'll get this stuff done. So we got the new front brake pads on this side. Nothing too special there. The only thing you need to get the whole caliper off is a 3/8 Allen socket. So those are on, and I noticed there's a little bit of play in these front wheel bearings. So I'm going to pop the cap off, and we're going to adjust them up, and then I'm going to put some fresh grease in there because that grease doesn't look the greatest. Ideally I would take all the bearings out and re-grease them, but seeing the way these rotors look, I'm going to go ahead and order a new set of brake rotors for the truck. So I'll put new wheel bearings and races in when the new rotor gets here. So for right now, I'm just going to take the outside bearing out, clean it, get some fresh grease in the middle, re-grease this outside bearing, readjust it, and then we'll put the wheel back on for right now. I also know that the truck needs 4 new shocks. I wanted to go ahead and get those ordered, so I'll order that when I order my brake rotors and everything. And then my sway bar end link bushings aren't looking the greatest, so I'm going to go ahead and just replace those now before they're a problem. Other than that, we've done a bunch of work to the truck lately. It's got a full tune-up. New low temp thermostat got put in it. I welded up some of the exhaust leaks in it today. The pipe that goes from the cat to the muffler, there's no clamp on it and it was loose where it meets up. So we went ahead and welded that entire seal today, and the truck got quite a bit quieter. We did valve cover gaskets on it recently. Next up is I've got a new transpan gasket for it. I want to change the transmission fluid and filter, and we're also going to go ahead and install a shift kit when we do that. The thing that's holding me up right now is I'm waiting. I want to get a deeper aluminum pan for it that has a provision for a trans fluid temp sensor, because I want to put a TFT sensor in this truck. These automatics and these Dodges are known for having problems, so we're going to put TFT on it and put it on the pillar. And then probably figure out some other gauges to throw on it, because I don't want to just do one gauge on the pillar. I can't get a single gauge pod like I can for the 04. This one has double and triple, so I'll do some looking and see what other gauges I might be interested in putting in this truck. So I just got the retainer off. There's no preload on that bearing. That is loose. So we're gonna go ahead and do both sides while I have the front wheels off to do the brakes. But yeah, it shouldn't be that bad. Got the passenger side done too. Wheel bearing on this side was a little bit loose too. I went ahead and greased it and adjusted it. Got the new brake pads on. But when I went to go compress the caliper on this side, as you can see, we got some brake fluid on the ground there. Somebody has been adding brake fluid to this truck as the brakes wear. That's why if you're not leaking, you really don't want to go adding brake fluid to it. So, brake fluid that's in this truck looks pretty bad. It's really dark. So, I went ahead and just made the decision. We're going to go ahead and take my suction gun. I'm going to empty out the reservoir, put fresh brake fluid in there before I even pump up the brakes. We'll get these pumped up to get the pistons pushed back up against these pads, and then I'll get my suction gun and we're going to go ahead and bleed the brakes in this truck. I need to adjust the rears too. I don't know if I'm going to mess with that today right now because I do have some stuff I have to go do. I was just killing a little bit of time this morning and doing some backlogged maintenance on this truck that I needed to get done. And it gave me an opportunity, like I said, to see, you know, what other front end parts I need to order. So this side too, you can see just how bad the shock is. The way it rides, I know it needs shocks. The sway bar end link on this side, the bushing is a little tore up too. You know, obviously, like I said, I'm going to order rotors and wheel bearings, and we're going to go ahead and do those, which I also know some of you are probably going to throw in the comments that I shouldn't put new pads on these rotors because it's going to wear into these grooves. They're cheap pads. I really don't care. You know, yes, they will wear into that rotor, and when I go put the new rotor on, it's going to have to wear into those, and we're going to waste some brake pad doing that, but it's got brakes on it. I can drive it now because I'm not sure when I'm going to have the time to do the brakes. I'm going to go ahead and order them today, so they'll be here within probably a week. I'm just going to grab them off Rock Auto. Usually if I don't need something in a hurry with this truck, just because of what the truck is, I try to get them as cheap as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and order that stuff for it, and then when it gets here and when we have some free time again, we'll mess with that. So I ran down the street. I had a pair of new Michelins to get thrown on this truck that I bought. And used tire shop down the street for me is pretty cheap. They mount and balance a tire for $15 a wheel. So I've got them throwing it on there. I just put those wheels on maybe 10 minutes ago with my DeWalt Impact, and their snap-on electric barely got it off there. And I didn't put them on all that tight. So we'll have Michelin's all the way around on the truck now. I don't know how long these are going to be on here. Like I said, I'm still looking for a set of 20 by 12. So I'd like some wheels with some offset, because when the flatbed goes on, those wheels are going to look really weird in the back. They're going to be small and narrow since it's a single rear wheel truck. But we'll get those started on there for now, so we have some decent tires on the front of the truck, because the front left was looking pretty bad. It had some really bad dry rot, and it had a chunk out of a piece of the tread. So we'll get those thrown on and just make the truck a little bit nicer.